Now the two pieces of frame wire that form the main body of the actual fish, they start here and they progressively work around here, all the way here, through here, back around, and finish where they started. So there's two of those. Starting here, travel down. This is the wire that we bent to the shape that we've mapped out on our cardboard. Around here, and back to the start. Don't worry about this, or this other stuff for the minute, because they're the peripherals that I'll explain as we get further along. But just concentrating on those two wires for the moment. This is where I had the clamp. So now that we've got the clamp off, we bend those wires and we tie those wires together using about 15 centimeters to 20 centimeters of this thin tie wire. So the two frame wires are joined at the nose of the fish, or whatever part that you're happening to make for your lantern. They also join at one other point along the tail. So right up here at the very tip, they join at the tail as well. They're the only 2 points through this whole lantern where those two main bodies of wire actually engage directly with each other. Now, when I showed you before on our map, here, here and here, our three sub pieces of frame, I'll show you where they are included in the body of the fish. Now, you can see here, squarish at the top, just hold it up, squarish at the bottom, and curved at the sides. So that's the smaller square. See that? That's the smallest square. That's just a continuous loop of wire. Here's the larger, squarish at the bottom, squarish at the top, curved. Now it's curved because the fish is fat, and that's where the illumination will occur. Now the little square, which is 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters on our particular case, is just here. The other thing about our particular lantern is that we've chosen to incorporate 2 backbones of light bamboo. Now this is just the standard bamboo that you buy at any gardening shop to stake your plants with. We've just put that in here just to give the frame a bit more rigidity, and all we did was just drill a little hole at all the main crossing points, and just using the same tie wire as we had before, just poked it through and twisted it. As I said, in a lot of the traditional Chinese lanterns were done or are done using solder. So you'll solder at this point, you'll solder at all these main crossover points. But we've elected to use tie wire. Cut yourself about 15 to 20 centimeters of tie wire. Start on one arm and move to the opposing arm. So twist around the main one arm and move to one of the cross arms. Then get another 15 centimeters, start at the other side and move to the cross. You can see that, that's probably the best example. You can see there that we have taken tie wire in 2 different directions on the actual fish, or on every major cross joint. If you look at the tail of this particular lantern, you can see that this is about 60 centimeters wide. So this is a particularly large area for the light to fill. Now we'll put fabric down here, we'll put fabric up here, fabric across the whole side here, and with the lamp in the main body of the actual lantern, that'll illuminate to give the shape of the tail of the fish. Now this up here is using the thinner wire that I discussed before, It's what I call a peripheral, and it's just a dorsal fin. This is not structural, so this just hangs on to the main structure of the actual. So here we are back at our fish, and what I wanted to talk to you about was this frame. You can see one side of it here, and you can see the other side of it here. That's essentially a 2.5 metre square, just made out of plain pine wood that we've elected to put together to keep the fish supported while we look to attach the fabric to it. The primary reason that we're looking to have it supported is, you can see down here, we've actually now added these fins down the bottom to make the fish anatomically correct. Now, if you happen to be building a fish, well, maybe you don't need to actually go to this hassle, but we've elected to undertake what we're doing to make it as authentic as we can. So we're just at the point now where we're going to actually stick our fabric on the actual frame, and what we're using is an acrylic water-based glue. We just got this from the local hardware store. We're using just a standard brush, which we're going to throw away at the end of it, and a container to make sure that glue doesn't get everywhere. The simple thing to actually do in relation to the actual frame is to do it in parts, as in stick the fabric through the wireframe in manageable pieces, because while you're actually doing the main fabric bit by bit, you'll be sticking the initial base fabric to the actual wireframe, and then the final pieces of fabric will be fabric stuck to fabric. So the side panels, put a bit of glue on our brush, and we just simply brush that around the actual item that we're going to stick the fabric to. We're actually going to coat this particular fish with 2 pieces of fabric. It's a base fabric which is white, and then we will put our actual colour fabric, which will probably be something of an orange or something of that nature, around over the top of the white. So we just brush it around, and here's our base, our under fabric. It's just a very simple thin fabric that we've just got from a local hobby store. And what we'll actually do now is actually position that onto the wire frame and just simply squeeze it around. Don't worry that the fabric's actually oversized. The idea is to actually stick it on, get it even, and then we come back later and trim it. But what we do want to do is make sure that when we're actually putting the fabric around the actual frame, that the fabric's quite taut. That way you're not going to have any wrinkles, and the final effect will be quite good. So as you can see, we've just spread that glue on there at the start. Move the fabric around. So as you can see here, got the actual fin, and we will just trim these edges at a later date. As soon as the glue's got a bit of dry, we'll just go through and trim these edges off. You can see that we've already done that for these ones up here, and we will put the covering over the top of the actual fabric with our final colour. So you can see that edge there is quite smooth. So you can see here that we've actually, the glue's dry enough now for us to trim. This is the fin that I worked on before, so you can see that the edges are actually quite nice. It's come up very smooth and ready for the final fabric to be applied on the back and to the front. And as you can see, I've just trimmed the edges there, so they actually come together.